At the beginning of the film, we are told that in 1979, a massive space station crashed in space, and some parts of it even landed on Earth. According to NASA, they had already examined all the items that fell on Earth. The story then begins in 2007. We are shown a man standing in Sarah, extremely panicked, who rushes to an FB booth and quickly calls a biologist. He tells the biologist, "I even tried to contact NASA, but no one is listening." Strange chemicals are being released from the space station that crashed here 18 years ago, causing illness and death among our people. Martin wanted to talk to him further, but suddenly the storm in Sarah intensifies, and the line is cut off. 27 hours later, we see the same scene in Sarah, where Martin has arrived with his friends. Well, they set out to search that part of the space station, and they don't see any people on the way. Upon reaching the part, they discover that the people there had tried to wash the entire area with water. This water accidentally entered the tank, and a fungus inside the tank, which had been non-reactive for a long time, became active. Upon contact with the water, it began to multiply. Martin now begins collecting a sample of the small amount of fungus present there, and during this time, we see that the fungus lying on the ground, which she hadn't noticed, had now gotten inside her shoe. While she was collecting a sample of the fungus in front of her, the fungus suddenly attacks her like a living organism, forcing Martin to retreat. Her other companion, who was on the roof at the time, noticed something very strange and immediately called them both up to the roof. It turns out there's a corpse with its body torn apart. All its organs had rotted away. Even its bones were rotten. Its brain was also ruptured. The men turned and looked at the rooftops of every house in the area. The bodies of all the people were lying on the rooftops, all in the same state as the previous body. Seeing this, Martin understands that this fungus attacks people first. It creates such panic in them that they are forced to climb onto the rooftops, where it tears apart their bodies and kills them. At this moment, the body they were standing near also has its remaining mouth torn apart, and its fungus falls slightly on Martin. Martin, however, immediately backs away. She collects a sample of the fungus and begins to leave. We are then shown the fungus that was on her shoe, crossing her shoe, then her suit, and then entering her body. As soon as the fungus penetrates her body, her health immediately deteriorates. She begins to feel extremely hot, struggles to walk, and a foul smell emanates from her suit. As she begins to stumble, my king's companion asks, "What's wrong?" Before she can explain her condition, she falls down. We see her vomit green and the fungus reaches her brain. She simply chants, "Spread, spread," and quickly gets into a vehicle. The trainee is about to pounce on her, realizing she's been attacked by the fungus. Robert tries to stop her. Meanwhile, Martin drives the vehicle and tries to run over them. Martin, who was trying to stop her, gets off and attacks her and tries to take her gun. When she manages to get the gun, she intends to kill both the trainee and Robert. But suddenly, she regains her composure. She realizes that she's not doing anything of her own free will. The fungus has taken control of her mind and is making her do all this. If she survives, the fungus will live with her, and this will be dangerous for everyone. Therefore, she attacks the air tube in her suit, ripping it apart, and dies shortly after. She did this so that the fungus would die with her. A few hours later, we see the army arriving at this same location, collecting samples of the fungus and then destroying everything there to prevent it from spreading further. Now, the fungus sample that the army brought is stored inside a highly secured facility. It's kept there. Years pass, and no one even remembers that these people kept the fungus inside. The army leases the space, where a facility is built below. But upstairs, some companies set up their own storage. This storage unit was for the public. People could pay a small fee to store their extra belongings there. People also left their valuables there. Seeing this, a man named Griffin who worked there became greedy. He decided to rob this storage unit. But the problem was that the night duty wasn't his, it was a boy named Travis's. He wanted Travis to join him, but Travis refused. Travis's weakness was that he was easily influenced by anyone. So Griffin soon convinced him, and Travis agreed to open the door at night. Meanwhile, we see an elderly woman come in to check on her belongings. Travis accompanies her to the elevator. While escorting her to the elevator, he hears a strange beeping sound, which he ignores. A little while later, while working, he hears the same beeping sound again and calls his coworker Naomi. Naomi hadn't heard it at the time. But a short while later, when another beeping occurs, Naomi also hears it. After all this, the scene cuts to Robert. This is the same Robert who was in the fungus scene at the beginning of the movie. Now he's old and retired. But he still receives a call from the government and quickly turns on his satellite phone to try to contact his old base. His call is answered by an officer named Abigail, who tells him that a temperature breakdown alert has come from a strange storage unit. Hearing this, Robert panics and tells them, "How many times have I warned you guys to constantly recheck and repair that storage unit? But you guys don't listen to me." Robert then requests the foreign military to send him some necessary equipment and conveyance so he can go to the storage unit and inspect everything. Meanwhile, in the same storage unit, we see Travis and Naomi trying to locate the sound and realizing it was coming from behind a wall. Naomi, who has a high sensitivity to Hershey's, decides to break through the wall and go to the other side. He lays down a rope to get to the other side. They break through the fiber wall and try to look inside through a small hole. There was a huge system installed. They enlarge the small hole and enter inside, trying to figure out what the system is. Here, they also see a map of the system, and Travis realizes that this place was once a military storage facility. Naomi takes a picture of this map, and from there, Naomi also learns that there's a whole bunker beneath this storage unit. Not just one, but several bunkers with multiple levels, and she wants to access all of them. Hearing this, Travis becomes angry and storms out. He declares, "I'm not going." He explains, "I've always listened to everyone, that's why I always get caught. But this time I won't listen to you." Naomi says, "Okay, then I'll go alone." She knew that after this blackmail, Travis would definitely go with her, and so it is. They reach the bottom via elevator and find a secret room, which used to be the beginning of the military bunkers. Upon entering, some sirens sound and they begin to look around. Here, they encounter artifacts from 1979, old suits, old equipment, and awe as they gaze upon them. They also discover a small door. Upon opening it, they discover it leads to the lower level of the bunkers, approximately 500 feet deep. They descend even lower and discover a secret room with a warning sign warning them not to open it, but they do. Once inside, they discover a chamber surrounded by cold water pipes, now leaking. They also notice a strange thing. All the rats in the room are covered in a foul, fetid fungus and have gone mad. People were entangled with each other, and some even had their arms entangled with each other. Just as one of the rats was about to jump on Travis, Travis backed away. Naomi looked inside the chamber. There was fungus everywhere. There was fungus outside the door as well. She was about to touch it, but Travis immediately stopped her. Naomi had just touched the door and her hand started burning, as if it were burning like a burning ember. When she told Travis this, Travis understood that this place was dangerous and told her to get out immediately. We are shown a man outside the storage unit. It turns out he is Naomi's ex-husband, who has been calling her repeatedly. At this point, he tells her, "I am outside your storage unit. Please come and meet me." He was terrified, as if he'd committed murder. He quickly went and opened the car's door, and we discovered that he had just accidentally killed a cat. But now the cat had come back to life. Its mouth was half eaten by fungus, and it was about to attack the man when the man stepped back, horrified by its condition. After doing all this, the cat vomited the fungus and then climbed a tower, where its entire body exploded, spewing blood and fungus. The wedge then fell on the man, who also became infected with the same fungus and began vomiting the fungus at the same time, as the fungus had penetrated his body within a minute. The fungus had now become stronger than before. There was a deer at the spot where the cat had vomited, and that deer was also now infected. Meanwhile, the fungus has completely taken control of Mike's mind, ordering him to find his wife, Naomi, again. Inside the facility, we see the infected heron operating the elevator on his own. Naomi and Travis, who had just left, are shocked and perplexed by this scene. They were previously researching the military storage facility to find out what was happening there. The movie then goes into flashbacks, revealing what happened over the past few hours. A cockroach had gone into the container containing the fungus. The fungus infected it first, and when it emerged, a rat tried to catch it, infecting it as well. Then, the rat infected other rats, and the cockroach escaped onto the street through the tire. Mike's car was passing by. The cockroach was crushed under Mike's car, and the fungus penetrated through the tire and entered his car. Inside the car was a dead cat that he had accidentally killed. Infected by the fungus, it came back to life, and everything that happened next is right in front of us. The senses return to the present. We see Travis and the deer quickly run towards the lobby, only to find that the infected deer has now entered the lobby. The deer, sensing their presence, quickly looks back and tries to vomit the fungus on them. But just then, Travis pulls Travis back, and this time they luckily escape the fungus. Well, after that, he falls down and writhes in pain, and then his body explodes. His scenes then end up stuck inside a wall. During this, Travis and Naomi are confronted by Mike, who has been completely infected by the fungus and now looks like a zombie. He pulls out a gun and laughingly tells Naomi, "You weren't listening to me. To punish you, I killed your cat." He's laughing like a maniac, saying nice things. At gunpoint, he tells them, "Open your mouths. I want to vomit in your mouths." He's not actually saying this, but rather making him say fungus. Naomi and Travis panic and run towards the storage area. Mike continues to fire at them, and the sound of the gunfire awakens the old lady who was inside the same storage area at the beginning of the movie. Naomi and Travis go inside a storage unit to escape Mike, but they haven't even fully closed their shirts when Mikey arrives. They stand completely still, making no noise so Mike can't see them. But Travis accidentally steps on something, causing a commotion. Mike discovers their presence, and as he's about to open the shutter, they force it shut, cutting Mike's hand. Naomi, in a panic, calls the emergency number, and Abigail, who is also elsewhere, hears the call. Abigail quickly relays the information to Robert, who had landed at the airport at that time. His longtime friend had come to pick him up, and she also needed to pick up some belongings. For now, she explains that someone from the storage unit is trying to contact the emergency number, and she's connecting their line to you so you can guide them. Naomi and Robert then converse. Robert already knew about the fungus. He asks Naomi a lot of questions. Now she answers them all, and then Robert tells them that this fungus is extremely dangerous. It attacks the brain and turns any person into a zombie. For now, he tells them to relax and there's no need to do anything. "I'm coming to rescue you soon," he says, "and most importantly, avoid coming into contact with the fungus at all costs." Just then, Travis faces another problem. His morning coworker, who had planned to rob the same storage unit that evening, arrives with his companions. The doors were already open. When the boy enters, he's devastated by the sight of the deer's torn body. They try to contact Travis through the microphone, but when Travis doesn't respond, the man says, "I'll take care of you. You promised to support me, and you're not doing that, right? I'll make you pay for all this." Anyway, he sends his men to a storage unit where expensive TVs had been stored just yesterday morning, and they start stealing them all. Meanwhile, we see Robert and the trainee. They had gone to the trainee's house to get some important items. There, someone stops them at gunpoint, but it turns out it was actually Robert and the trainee's son. Robert has to leave for the mission, and the trainee tells him to go alone because she's old enough to handle all this. She hugs him and wishes him good luck. Meanwhile, Robert gets another call from Abigail. Abigail tells him it's about to rain, which makes Robert extremely panicked. She explains that the fungus grows rapidly with water, and most importantly, I unexpectedly learned that some people there have been infected. Now we need to find out who those people are using satellites. It's very easy to spot an infected person. Their temperature rises to 1,000 degrees, so much so that their body is about to explode. Travis and Naomi, disobeying Robert, emerge from the storage unit and see Mike, who has become a zombie, vomit the same fungus on all the robbers present there, infecting them all. Mike then spots these two and is about to run towards them. But before he can reach them, the old lady shoots him, and his body explodes like all the infected people before. Travis doesn't tell the old lady anything and sends her towards the stairs, as there's not much danger there, and the fungus has already spread around the elevator. Now Griffin confronts Mike, takes him to the point of running, and asks him to open the door to a storage unit where his other teammates are locked. Travis didn't want to open the unit because he knew Mike had vomited on them, infecting them. That's why he had closed the unit himself, but Griffin refuses and forces him to do it. Travis refuses to open the storage unit under any circumstances, so Griffin shoots him before he can kill him. Travis forces himself to open the unit, but just in time, a boat arrives to rescue him, armed with a fire extinguisher. It blows smoke into Griffin's eyes, killing Travis. She escapes with the virus. Griffin steps forward and opens the unit's door himself, and seeing his comrades turned into zombies, he goes mad. His other comrade, who wasn't infected, tries to escape but falls on the fungus, becoming infected as well. Griffin's comrade, whom he loved very much, is watching him. He wants to take her with him, but right in front of Griffin, his head explodes in 4, and pieces of his brain fall out, leaving Griffin terrified and fleeing. Meanwhile, we see that Travis and Naomi have managed to escape the building. They wanted to escape, but Robert stops them at gunpoint, as Robert is now old and he needs to get everything done through these two. He gives them suits to protect themselves from the fungus and a bomb they were to plant near the container containing the fungus. The container would have blasted the entire area, killing many people, and the trafficker didn't want to do that. But Robert explains that the explosion would remain underground and only destroy the fungus. Robert guides them through how, if the bomb isn't planted, the world will once again be ruled by zombies instead of humans. He's seen it all with his own eyes. Therefore, he agrees to be part of this mission to save the humans. They had already seen the entire area below. The mission wasn't that impossible. As soon as these people enter, Robert closes all the doors to prevent any infected person from leaving. He then punctures the tires of all the vehicles parked there, so that even if a half-human remains outside the building, he cannot travel far with these vehicles. At this point, we are shown that the satellites are monitoring all these people. They inform Robert that an infected person is approaching. Robert quickly shoots him, and the person explodes. At this point, Robert himself experiences severe back pain. He falls down, unable to even lift himself. Furthermore, the fungus from the torn man's body could reach him at any moment. Therefore, he shoots at all the bikes lying nearby and sets them on fire, burning all the fungus. Here, we are again shown Travis and Naomi, who had reached the fungus chamber. Once there, they discovered that the fungus, which had previously been confined to just a few doors, had spread throughout the entire room. As they began to set the bomb, they discovered that Robert had already set the timer for the bomb, and now only a few minutes remained for it to detonate. They wouldn't have been able to escape the facility. The fear of death instilled in them an alien-like energy, and they ran at a speed unimaginable. The way they were running, they hoped they would escape before the timer ran out. But something went wrong with the timer, and the 3 or 4 minutes passed. Meanwhile, Robert encountered another infected person. Before Robert could kill her, Mary, the old woman, appeared. Meanwhile, Travis and Griffin's companion, the infected girl, appeared inside, forcing them to change their path. And here, in front of Griffin, his own partner, a zombie, comes back to life and begins speaking. Griffin is so terrified that he shoots him, and his body explodes again. Finally, they manage to escape the building, and the first thing they do is pick up Robert. As Naomi, Travis, and Robert move forward, a massive explosion erupts behind them and they escape unscathed. Abigail sees from the satellite that there are no red signals left. This means that the fungus threat has ended, and Robert has completed his mission to the very end. In the next scene, we see Robert admitted to the hospital, where Abigail comes to visit him. She thanks him for reminding her of her first encounter. Meanwhile, we see Travis and Naomi, who have now become friends. Naomi also introduces him to her daughters, and thus the movie ends with them being happy and moving on with a new life.